and welcome back to season 5. Yes, the big 5 of Rugby Connection podcast. Well, we've got Prem, URC, WXV, some international rugby news, and joining us today, a man that has dual citizenship, shall we say. Springbok, Welsh. He says he's a Springbok, but I think he's Welsh, deep down. It's
I
Cal.
don't carry a Welsh passport, I carry a British passport.
That's closer to us than a South African one. So there you go.
I also carry a South African passport, so...
There you go. See, dual citizen. There you go.
Dual citizen.
How are you getting on, mate?
Yeah, no, I've had COVID this last week, so it's been absolutely cherry beautiful, lovely. But it did give me an excuse to stay at home and watch the rugby, so I can't complain.
There you go. Every cloud has a silver lining.
Massive silver lining, 'cause it's been a long time since I've just sat down and watched the URC. So, yeah.
Understandable. Is that where you want to start? Do you want to start in the URC then?
I think the URC is always a sensible point to start.
Fair enough. So I'm just going to hash through the scores and then we'll just pinpoint some games. So Friday night, game of the weekend in my eyes, Glasgow Warriors went down to Cardiff. Champions coming out on top, 52-36. Hell of a game. Also in Wales on Friday night. Bit of a nail-biter. Connacht edging Scarlets 24-23. Saturday, my beloved Edinburgh got absolutely torn to shreds by the Lions, 55-21. Same time at Altitude, Bulls put Ulster to the sword, 47-21. Dragons pushing Cam's beloved Sharks right to the edge, 33-30, but Sharks get the win. Leinster doing what Leinster do, getting a comfortable win over Benetton, 35-5. Stormers just caused absolute havoc over Zebre, 36-5 on their tour. And Munster keep Ospreys to a clean sheet, 23 points to 0. Yeah.
Well, there's a few games I want to talk about, but I think we'll start on the obvious. Actually, no, before we get to the Edinburgh situation, because I know you have a few words for that, what I will just say is, so far, what I've noticed from this URC, and bear in mind it's early rounds, is that the competition is feeling a fair bit more competitive, regardless of some of the bigger score lines that have happened this week in previous rounds as well. But it just highlights for me the Welsh teams. Last season, Cardiff would not have scored 6 against Glasgow. Last season, Scarlets would have completely capitulated against Connacht. Last season, we put 60 points on the Dragons, albeit at home, but still.
Yeah.
And then Ospreys, obviously, with the clean sheet, fine, but the week before, they beat the Stormers. So, you know, the weaker side seem to be performing better. The stronger side seem to be just as strong, but I think the competition's in a fairly healthy point. But obviously, this round, we've had a few blowouts, which are fun to talk about.
Yeah. Well, you've already said it. We'll get the Edinburgh one out of the way. I hate it. And it's nothing against the Lions. The Lions did their game plan perfectly. JC Pretorius, Frankie Horn in the back row were sensational. Rabs Maxwani on the wing. Edville van der Merwe on the opposite wing. Like, there's 5 tries, just them 2. Morny Berg was sensational at scrum half. Quan Horn at fullback was awesome.
Quan Horn run the show.
But just Edinburgh, we have some of the best defensive players in the league, and they were obsolete.
Yeah.
We have some of the best attacking threat in the league that were obsolete. And it just felt like nothing worked. And I said this, I think I said it on TikTok actually. Whatever Edinburgh are doing in the warm-ups needs to stop, because that's twice in the opening 3 rounds we've had to do a late change due to injury in the warm-up.
Yeah. Yeah, that, you know, I was messaging you during this game because as much as I like to banter Edinburgh, I was gobsmacked I had
Yeah.
the Lions to win purely because, the Lions are a brilliant team, but I didn't have them to win by that. And listen, the Lions played brilliantly, and you could look at this result and think, fuck me, the Lions are going to be contenders this season, which I think they will be. But I looked at it as, well, 48-0 in the first half. What did Edinburgh do wrong? Because I don't think it matters who Edinburgh play in that game. They're still getting points put on them because Edinburgh just didn't have any structure in defence and any desire in attack. Is what I messaged you. I said there's no passion in the carry. There's no fight to get those extra few meters. There's no creativity in attack. It was just one-up ball runners. And then the fact that the Lions were so devastating off turnover ball, Edinburgh had more possession and territory in that game.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think it because the Lions turnover ball, coast to coast tries, skipping past, making Edinburgh defenders look silly. There was that one where Edville van der Merwe had a rough bounce to the ball. Darcy Graham was defending him and he sort of just did a little spin move around him. And you're like, this shouldn't be happening like this. These are international quality players on, playing for Edinburgh. And then the second half, they come out and they show, well, okay, now they decide to start playing rugby. They outscored the Lions, 21-7 in the second half. Where's this Edinburgh been? So obviously Sean Everett's given them an absolute grilling in the changing rooms, but it's like you said, far too little, too late, and almost half your games in the URC are away from home. If that's the performances they're going to be putting, in away from home, you're going to be finishing the same place as you did last season.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's the annoying bit. And like, we're back home this weekend, so I hope that now, because I've tried looking at the positive now. So like, we've had Leinster, we've done our South African tour. Right now, it's time to really kick on and actually go for it now, because we're already 3 rounds in. But anyway, that's well done, Lions. Edinburgh, sort your shit out, really. Glasgow, Cardiff, that was a really fun game. I really enjoyed that.
That was an excellent game.
A lot of the Glasgow players are just showing why they'll start for Scotland. If not the Lions at the end of the year, like Sione Tuipulotu.
Hugh Jones, Sione Tuipulotu, Lions centre partnership, because the synergy that they have, there's no centre partnership who are more telepathically connected than Hugh Jones and Sione Tuipulotu. And with the quality of Hugh Jones and just the sheer world class that Sione Tuipulotu has become, top 3 inside centres in the world we discussed. There's Diolande, there's Aki, and now there's Tuipulotu.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show about that ridiculous try that he scored. A Duhan van der Merwe-esque try.
Yeah, from the inside. Yeah.
Kyle
Rowe had a good game, friend of the show. 2 tries for him.
Yep.
Jamie Dobie really, really putting his hand up for Scotland caps this year. Starting every game, scoring a spectacular try to open the account. Tom Jordan, starting at 10. He has to get capped for Scotland this autumn. He is eligible come this autumn. Yeah, go for it. He can play 10, he can play inside centre, and he does it both very well. And he's a very good athlete. Like, he's strong, he's quick, he's got great ball handling skills, he's great off the kick, and he is the full package almost.
It's been a good start to the season for the defending champions, and I think people have already forgotten that Glasgow are the defending champions of the URC. It seems like people have sort of forgotten that already, and they're already talking about Munster, Leinster, Bulls, Stormers. Glasgow won the competition, right? They did, and they did it the hard way. Okay, so obviously the blip in round 1 against Ulster, they lost, but after that they've been tracking very well. I just think maybe a bit of a worry for Glasgow. You scored 8 tries, but you conceded 6.
Yeah, this has become. I've seen this quite a few times this season already. That they're winning, but like the amount of points you're conceding, that's not great either. So
You know,
hopefully it
you've
balances
you
itself out.
yeah, you've won that game based on Cardiff's poor defence, not based on
You're a good
your
defense.
outstanding attack. You know, which they do have an outstanding attack, but you know, also their defence against a better team. Maybe they lose that game. So
Yeah.
attacks their defence isn't for the rest of, but they've got the rest of the season to work on that. And Glasgow are going to be title contenders again. So yeah.
Fair. I'll let you talk about the Sharks briefly.
Yeah. Obviously, last week against Connacht, absolutely bottled it. First half, clinical. You know, for this being our B team, it's a hell of a B team. You know, we've got under 20 sensation Lorenzo Julius, we've got Andre Esterhazen, Sia Masuku, the Hendrickson brothers, the Chatuka brothers, we've got Trevor Niakane, Jason Jenkins, Grobler, Ethan Hooker on the wing. We're absolutely stacked. For a B team, we're stacked with talent. But yeah, bottled it against Connacht, and then this week, discipline was just letting us down. And the Dragons aren't any pushover; they played brilliantly. I'm not going to say, you know, it was discipline in the ref that let the Dragons to the game. No, the Dragons let the Dragons into the game. They were brilliant. But as much as after the game, I was like, oh, geez, you know, that was close against the Dragons. Bloody hell, we almost lost that. That's worrying. Now I look at it and I think, well, what's the difference between this season and last season? Well, last season we would have lost that game. We would have lost that game last season because the amount of games, the amount of losing bonus points we got last season, I think we got like 7, 8 losing bonus points.
Yeah.
So that would have been a loss, but instead we've turned it into 5 points.
There you go.
So, you know, I was a bit worried last week when we did again losing bonus point against Connacht. I was like, okay, shit, you know, where we're getting close, but we're not getting there. But now, you know, Fez Bath at 85-minute try at the death shows that this team now has that mindset to work hard for the win when it's available instead of completely capitulating and throwing away points.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, it's a big improvement from last year because you would have lost that and you didn't this time. So happy days. Obviously, I think you would have expected a much less.
But then also, like I said, I do believe the quality of the competition has gone up. You know, the Dragons, they've beaten the Ospreys.
Yeah.
I think the quality of the competition is going to go up this season.
Well, just before we go into predictions for round 4, just quickly, the Bulls game, and in particular Cameron Hanekom, can we see him in the Springboks jersey this autumn?
It's so hard because people are calling for Cammy to get a Springboks jersey. But you could say that for so many different positions right now in the, you know, throughout the URC franchises. You know, people would be calling for a Sanele Nahamba, people would be calling for a Edward van der Merwe, you know, all quality players that deserve to be there. But Cameron Hanekom is a special player. But then we've also got the likes of his teammate Alric Lowe there already. We've got the likes of Jasper Wiese there already. We've got the likes of Quacker Smith there already. I think if Rassie maybe changes his mindset about Alric Lowe and has him more of a utility forward like he's used with the Bulls, he can play 8, he can play lock, he can play back row 6 and 7. And then there's a spot for a specialist 8 to come in like Cameron Hanekom, yes. Would I like to see Hanekom in a Springbok jersey? Absolutely. He reminds me of Pierre Space in his prime. He does. He's got that. He's ripped. He's big. He's mobile, athletic. He's fast. Just all those character traits. I'd love to see him in that Springbok jersey. Will we see him this autumn playing games? Maybe not. Will we see him in the future? Almost 100%. I don't think Rassie can look over him.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Can't argue with that. Obviously, hopefully, I'd like to see it because he's just a star. He's a
Mm.
sensation.
Oh, he's
But
brilliant.
we're going to move on. Predictions for round 4 of the United Rugby Championship. Friday Night Lights, just the one this week. Defending champions back at the Fortress of Scotstoun against Zebre.
I mean, you know what? I mean, we didn't talk about the game, but Zebre did get pretty handily beaten by the Stormers, but
Yeah.
in what was a very boring game to watch, I think. A
That's
very mind-numbing game to watch between the Stormers and Zebre. But Zebre, I think, are just going to start the season like they always start the season with a few shock results and then slowly capitulate as the season goes on. They're not going to win in Scotstoun.
no.
It's going to be a big win for Glasgow. It's going to be a bonus point for Glasgow. But could I potentially see Zebre shocking and getting a losing bonus point? Maybe.
Yeah, I can see that
Maybe.
possible.
I don't see why not.
They did trip the Warriors up last year, so who knows?
It depends on if it's a wet and rainy night in Scotstoun. Because I think if it's like that, the Zebre boys don't stand a chance and they get 50-0'd. But if it's good clear conditions, we've seen that Zebre can shift the ball. They can play wide. They can make any defense look silly when they want to and when things click. So we'll see.
Yeah, fair. Welsh Derby opening the Saturday. Cardiff versus Scarlets.
That's
As
an
a fan,
interesting one.
I have Cardiff winning it just because I think Cardiff are, really overachieving right now. I know it's very early on in the season, but yeah, they're playing quite well and they've got a lot of good players in the ranks.
Yeah. I would have said this last season as well, but the Scarlets ended up tripping Cardiff up twice.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Scarlets seem to be in the last year anyway, seem to be Cardiff's bogey team. Where's it being played? Is it in Llanelli or is it in Cardiff?
Yeah, I think Cardiff.
Yeah, I'd expect Cardiff to win that game.
That's fair. Benetton
But
versus Sharks.
Benetton versus Sharks.
I've got the Sharks because Benetton are really struggling this season with, especially with discipline.
Yeah, they definitely don't have what they had last season, and where it's gone, I don't know.
But
Obviously, I'd back my Sharks to win, but Treviso is no easy place to go and win.
no.
Yeah, no, I can see I'd like to see a game this week where we lead for the whole game,
Uh-huh.
but I know Benetton will probably keep us close. So if we can get the bonus points, if we can get the full 5 points, happy days. And if we can stop Benetton from getting a point from it, happy days. But yeah, a win will be enough for me.
Fair enough. I'm back home. Edinburgh versus the Stormers. Edinburgh have to win this to have any chance this season. And to do it back home with a weaker, albeit, Stormers team. Yeah, I think. And we're hurting, so yeah, just go for it, boys. Give them hell.
Mm. Yeah, no, the Stormers don't travel well. I'd argue the Stormers travel worse than the Bulls. But you say a weaker Stormers team. We're still looking at players like Zas. We're still looking at players like Willemses now in that squad. Gallant, it's a good squad, but I don't think Edinburgh are going to have because round one or round two, should I say, against the Bulls, could have won that. I think your scrum is still very dominant. No, I'd put my money on Edinburgh to win that. But if you perform anything like you did against the Lions, then I think the Stormers might, sting you a bit.
100%. Well, hopefully we'll turn it around. The big one for this weekend at Croke Park, Leinster versus Munster. Tasty.
Munster have, in the space of 2 rounds, shown all of their weaknesses against Zebre and have shown all of their strengths against Ospreys. They got embarrassed by Zebre, albeit strongest Munster side. And then they hunkered down against the Ospreys. Oh, I've lost you there a little bit.
No, you're all good. I got every word. You're all good.
Yeah, sorry, where was I? Hunkered down against the Ospreys, completely nilled them. But where's tell me a weakness of the Leinster team so far.
There isn't really.
Okay, people have said the Leinster team that beat Benetton should have beat them by more. Because there was a period of what 40 minutes or so where there was no scoring, and Leinster gave away 14 penalties.
We've got to calm that down, especially against Munster.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Leinster because Leinster at Croke Park, it's just different, isn't it?
Mm. I mean, I think the last time these two teams played at Croke Park, we had the Johnny Sexton, Ron O'Gara incident
that O'Gara doesn't even recall. I love that. I know that he's trying. Just off topic there, I know Sexton tried to sell a book, but Ron O'Gara got asked about it like last week, and he went, "I don't remember any of that." He's like, "But if he could remember that from 15 years ago, then fair play." I was like,
the whole Johnny Sexton saga at the moment. We can talk about that a bit later, but my God, it's entertaining. This is going to be a close game. I think this is going to be similar to Munster Connacht in round 1, where it's just going to be absolutely down the wire. I think it's going to be low point scoring. I think we're going to be, in the teens, maybe, a 19-17 game, something like that. I'll probably peg Leinster to win it, just based on they've been more consistent this season and Munster have not. But it's Munster-Leinster. It's always close, and I think if Munster do everything right and Leinster give away as many penalties as they did last week, we could see the Red Army winning. So
it's fair. Yeah, I like that. It is a close one, but I am going for Leinster as well, just because they seem a bit more polished.
Yeah, again, if I had to put my house on it, I'd be putting my house on the shoulders of Archie Snaben. And yeah.
Fair enough. Ospreys versus the Bulls. Bulls are now over in the Northern Hemisphere.
Ospreys are no joke this season. I know they got nilled against Munster. Yeah, fine. But they beat the Stormers.
Did, yeah.
They lost against the Dragons. But again, I've said the Dragons are looking good this season, in my opinion. And the Bulls don't travel well. And we saw, I mean, it fully depends on what squad the Bulls send. I think, I haven't seen it yet. If it's been released, I don't even know. Yeah, I have a gut feeling that Ospreys are going to win this game.
I'm with you on that. I think this was a big issue from Wales' summer tour, that why wasn't there many Ospreys players? And it's hard to argue. I think Ruben Morgan-Williams at scrum half needs to be in with a shout. I think Dan Edwards at 10 has been sensational. Morgan Morris and Morgan Morse, for that matter.
There's a reason why countries with a lot of their big players from the same club do well. I mean, you look at France, a lot of their big players in Toulouse. You look at Ireland, a lot of their big players in Leinster. Scotland only have to share between 2 clubs. Having that team synergy, which Wales don't have, by cherry picking teams, players from the Premiership, players from Welsh regions. If they want to build a bit of synergy for this autumn tour, pick from the Ospreys, I would, that's their best bet.
Every team needs a spine from a club, and that club is the Ospreys, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But yeah, Ospreys to get the win. Bulls don't travel well. I think it might be tighter than people think, but
It will be tight, and I can see the Bulls getting a win because they're stacked with talent. But
yeah,
depending on what sort of team they send, and the Bulls don't travel well. They never have travelled well. I mean, they've had some big results on the road. They've had some big wins on the road, but average. They don't travel well.
yeah. Well, Irish Derby though. Ulster versus Connacht. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
This will be a
But
very fun game.
I'm gonna edit Connacht, but there's nothing in it. Like Ulster have done quite well. They got a big win over Glasgow at the start of the season. They did quite well against the Bulls in parts.
Well, Ulster seem to have somehow unlocked prime Jacob Stockdale again.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back. And also on the other wing now, they've got the man who signed my jersey, Werner Koch,
Yeah.
who, can I just say, for Ulster so far, what I've seen of him is playing just as he did for the Sharks, which makes me very sad because I only want to see that crazy fucking Tarzan man running around in the black jersey of the Sharks, but it's just the work rate on that man is insane. 1 minute he'll be on the wing, and the second minute he'll be on the opposite wing cleaning out a ruck. So,
Fair.
but Connacht have been clinical so far this season. So, I'll edge it to Ulster just to be a bit different. But like you said, there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it.
Final game for round 4: Dragons versus Lions. Mm.
This is being played at the in Newport.
Yeah, it's Rodney Parade, yeah.
Rodney Parade, that's the name of their stadium. I forgot what it was called there. The Lions, out of all the South African teams, do travel well. The Lions will come to your home and they will beat you there. Like they've got the Lions, in my opinion, the best coached team in the URC, based on the players that they have to their disposal. They make do with the parts they have because they know if they have any breakout stars, they're just going to be nicked by the Sharks.
Fair.
But no, I fully expect, like I said, the Dragons are good, but the Lions this season have that team synergy from the Currie Cup because they don't have any major Springboks in their team. They've got that team synergy. They're playing that same sort of team, and they perform well. So the Lions get the win there, and I think they'll get a good away win, bonus point win, and the Lions are making the playoffs this season. I could even see the Lions in the top 4 if they keep competing. The only thing that's going to stop them is their depth. If they get a few injuries, they don't have the depth to carry on.
Fair. I like that. I'm going to go Lions for the win. Don't think it's going to be a runaway score. I think Dragons might want to keep it a bit tighter, but yeah, the Lions do travel quite well. They don't, like you said, they don't have any Springboks out of action or that are just returning to the squad or anything like that. So, yeah, it's quite fair.
You know what's dangerous with the Lions quickly? Just that they don't have any major Springboks playing at the moment, but now they've had quite a few of their players in that Springbok setup. And now those players have brought back that experience to the Lions, which just makes them even more dangerous. Because in previous years, the Lions have been chaotic and fun to watch and dangerous on the attack, but it's that chaos that's, maybe been the crux of them a few times, maybe been their worst enemy. Now, they're still fun to watch and they're still scoring tries, but they're doing it in an oddly calm and collected way.
Yeah.
And it's scary. This Lions team excites me but scares me for the rest of the season.
It's exciting times. Right, over to the Prem. Round 3 did not disappoint. Score-wise, result-wise anyway. Sale narrowly edging out Gloucester 31-27. That was quite a fun game. Northampton Saints versus Quins 33-29, to the defending champions. Another nail-biter there. Bristol getting a big win on the road against Bath, 36-26. Tigers absolutely slaughtering Newcastle, 42 points to 10. And Saracens beat my beloved Exeter Chiefs. Which means, if you're keeping count, I am 0 for 6 this whole season.
Well, I don't know if you're counting it, but WXV too. The
Okay,
ladies got
yeah,
one.
okay. So for the women's game, I'm undefeated. For the men,
Yeah, you're not having a good time.
I'm having a good time. But yeah, um, Saints Quins, what a game! And the fact that Quins have so many injuries in key positions and still push the champions to the brink, unreal. Marcus Smith, doesn't matter if he's at 10 or 15, it's his game. He steals the show and it's electric to watch. And it's
You
just
could
so
play
much fun.
that boy at you could play that boy at open side flanker, and he'd still have a hell of a game.
We need to bulk up a little bit for that. But yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
maybe eat a burger, but put some cards on. But no, Marcus Smith. My God, how much has that boy progressed in the last couple of years? It was a couple of years ago when we were saying, is he ready? Is he ready for international test rugby? Maybe not quite yet. Now we're like, start that boy at fly half, start him at fullback, start him wherever you want.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Do you start Marcus at 10? Do you have him at fullback with Ben Smith at 10 and then you've got that new dynamic? Or
Depends on how you want to play. I think if you want to play pure like balls to the walls attack, start Smith at fullback. If you want,
we're both Smith?
yeah, do a double Smith, do a Finn Smith 10, Marcus Smith
There you go.
fullback. Um, or if you want to play a bit more sensible and a bit more secure, play Freddie Stewart at the back and start Smith at 10.
Oh, no, no,
No,
no, I wouldn't start Freddie Stewart.
why?
I don't know. He's very good. I don't
Have we
know.
forgotten that Freddie Stewart is a good player just
Oh,
because
no.
Furbank's been there?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Furbank's really good as well.
Okay, but Freddie Stewart is the best they have under the high ball. And also, he's the size of Manu Tuolangi. He's huge.
He's a bit sluggish on the turnaround
Yeah, but
though.
it's depending on what fullback you want. And to be fair, going with the pace that England want to go for, which I can see, from the All Blacks games, probably Marcus Smith or Furbank are your 15s to go forward. I'd say Marcus Smith should be the 10 to go forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, back to the Quins Northampton game. Yeah, like
Good.
you said, Quins with injuries, showing their depth,
Oh yeah,
showing major depth.
100%. Jack Kenningham back in the back row is awesome to watch. He's just going to keep getting better and better. Finn Baxter, considering how young he is just right up there already. And he's just going to keep getting better and better because props don't really peak till they're like 28, 29 years old. He's only like 23. It's ridiculous.
He has to be in that autumn squad.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's in the training squad. So
Purely because the teams that England are playing, they're going to need some scrummages.
and Finn Baxter can scrum.
He can scrum.
Yeah, but credit to the Saints. Champions dig down deep. Sam Graham, player of the match. He was sensational watch coming up in the number 8 jersey. Ollie Slightholme on the double. Probably should have been a hat trick if you're being honest. Rory Hutchinson is just awesome, sensational, spectacular on the attack, on the defence. He's just everywhere for the Saints, and yet doesn't get a look in for the Scotland team. So I think he might actually merit a call up in the I don't know where you play him or who you play him against, but I think he's just won the Prem with Saints. He's still continuing his great form. It's going to have to be in there just on form alone. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Just a little note quickly, like I've only just thought of this. How much do you think Marcus Smith has sat down and picked Lee Halfpenny's brains now at Quins?
Oh, probably quite a fair bit. I think there's quite a few of them that's.
Imagine a Marcus Smith now with a few of the tricks and a few of the gems from Lee Halfpenny.
You ain't stopping them. It's going to get better and better. Love it. Bristol getting a big win. Talk about Bristol because they've done really well.
They've done what a lot of teams fail to do, and they started peaking at the end of last season, just missed out, and they've just carried that curve onwards. You know, a lot of teams would have peaked and then would have come back down for the start of the season. Bears have just gone up, and they've built that. They've built that identity that every team needs. You now you think of Bristol Bears, you think of the way that they play.
Some heavy hitters in that Bears team.
Massive.
Gabriel Augrey at hooker. What a player he is. The fact he's not in the England team baffles me, but anyway, it's fine. Bernard Jans van Rensburg, what a signing he was. He was kind of an unknown when he left, when London Irish folded, and he has just upped his game.
Yeah.
So much since going to Bears, and it's just so much fun to watch. Santiago Grondona debut, fresh off a rugby championship with Los Pumas, 2 tries. Unreal. And I feel like as a Chiefs fan, I'm kicking myself for that because we had him on our books and just didn't use him. Silly mistakes. Oh well. And Max Malon's just back to scoring for fun every game.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch when Pat Lam gets a Bears team cooking. It's just very fun. Could. Yeah, 100%. And that's all I really want to talk about in the Prem.
Shock for Bath, though, wasn't it?
It was a shock for Bath, but I think it will also be good for Bath in the long term. Like, they might need that defeat to then really hammer on and get that top spot that they want and get the title that they want as well.
And are you worried about Exeter?
I'm starting to. I don't know what's happened. We brought in all these youngsters last year that were doing really well. It's the same ones that they've got more experience this year, and it ain't happening. I know Henry Slade's hurt, but one man doesn't make a team.
And Michael Checker tracking well with Leicester Tigers, although he's been banned already.
He's already in the naughty books. Yeah, but I don't know what to think about this one because, Tigers dominated.
It's Newcastle, yeah.
It's Newcastle, and thing is, right? Do Newcastle actually get a win at this point?
No, and I was seeing this. I think it was Tim from Egg Chasers was he did a video on the Premiership saying the Premiership doesn't have enough teams, it doesn't have enough games in a regular season because every team has 9 home games a season, which isn't enough. And if you think about the competition, you almost kind of only have 9 teams because Newcastle aren't really a factor at the moment. Are they the quality? Maybe they should go down to the Championship and we should bring up, I don't know, Ealing Trailfinders or something. It just the competition's not there with them, and it's sort of like the same situation as Zebre in the URC and Moana Pacifica in Super Rugby, and you know.
It's tricky because they sell out a lot. They've got a dedicated fan base.
Oh, massive.
They have got a successful coach. Steve Diamond is a very good coach. They have some good players in that mix. It's just nothing's working, and I don't know what it is anymore.
All I can think about is Steve Diamond saying at the start of the season, we're not finishing bottom.
All I could think of is, what was it? If I can't make them win, no one can. All right, okay.
Oh, I think Razzie Erasmus could.
Bold statement, but it was you've still not won yet, Steve, so
yeah, exactly.
Anyway. Predictions. That's it really.
Go on then.
Yeah, Saracens did well, fair play. Ben Earl is sensational.
Saracens fans would be happy about that because they have lost some leadership and some talent. Yeah. So they'll be happy that their team is still tracking.
Yeah, I did say that I thought Saracens were going to struggle at the first part of the season because they've lost all that leadership and it's not really missed a beat yet. So shout out to the system down there and Mark McCall. So it's obviously working. Anyway, week 4 of the Prem. It's Derby week. All the rivalries. Friday night, Battle of the North. Sale versus Newcastle.
Oh, Sale.
Sale. It's in the AJ Bell as well. So yeah.
Yeah, Sale by a good few points.
Few points.
A good few points.
Exeter Chiefs at Sandy Park, taking on Bristol Bears. Back your team, but it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be the easiest.
I think Bristol are just on a good run, and I think Exeter maybe are taking the slow approach to this season, and I think they will find their form. I wouldn't be too worried about it, but I do think Bristol probably get this win.
Fair enough. On form, yeah, I can see that. But
they're on form. That's what I'm saying. Like you've got to take form into account.
Got to trip them up, though. That's what I'm saying. Gloucester versus Bath. Now, if you remember last season, Finn Russell shushing the famous shed. So there you go.
Gloucester have definitely been bolstered this season with some very good signings.
Yes, Gloucester are doing quite well,
which puts them in a much more competitive space, especially with in terms of your halfbacks, and they got Wadey on the wing now as well. Ooh, I'd expect Bath to win. I would expect them to win, but Gloucester could do a madness.
They could. Gloucester are more than capable of getting a win, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did. But again, Bath will be annoyed that they lost to Bristol, so time to right those wrongs. I think Bath get the win narrowly. Leicester Tigers versus Northampton Saints at Welford Road. Tasty that. I love Derby week.
I mean, I'm backing the Tigers because they are sort of my adopted Premiership team. Although I'm really liking Bristol at the moment, so I'm very conflicted. No, I'll back the Tigers just because I think the Saints aren't where they were last season because they've lost massive leadership roles like Courtney Laws, like Lewis Ludlam. So I think they're lacking that leadership, but they've still got all the talent.
They have, yeah. I don't know. It's weird because I still can't pinpoint like Checkers Tigers because they smashed Newcastle, but then they've lost a game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
they lost a narrow one against Bath.
Yeah.
They smashed Newcastle and they beat
Chiefs, yeah.
Chiefs, yeah.
I'm going to edge it to the champions, but again, I can't see. There's nothing in it really.
I don't know. I reckon Checker has his eyes on this game, especially because Checker's definitely got his eyes on the playoffs. He wants to come in and he wants to make, because he's a big arrogant Aussie, and he wants to make a statement.
I didn't realize he only signed a 1-year deal. I thought he was there like a long-term deal.
Yeah, no, I saw something about that, and it's a bit like, well, it's quite worrying for Leicester fans because that leaves very uncertain position.
Yeah. But hey, it could be one really, really fun season. So who knows?
Yeah, a Checker season.
Final game for round 4 of the Prem at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Quins versus Saracens.
Quins.
I hate myself. I'm going Saracens.
I'll go Quins.
Because as much as I'd love to see Quins win it, they don't turn up to this game. Whenever they play at Tottenham, for some reason, Saracens just run away with it.
They've got the Hurricane curse.
Yeah.
The Kane curse. They got the Tottenham curse.
The Wellington curse and the Tottenham curse is the same thing, yeah. Yeah.
No, it's the Hurricane curse. He took it over to Bayern, and then they lost the season. So
okay, fair enough. There you go.
It should be all right now. It should be all right now.
I just can't get past that. And Saracens are undefeated. They've got maximum points. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Quins Saracens tend to be quite a fun game, but I think Saracens will just have more fun with it, shall we say.
Yeah.
Going to quickly just run over the WXV 1, 2, and 3 because the women's game is awesome to watch, and there's some good games in here. WXV 3, bit more of a write-off. That's where you get more of your bigger score lines. But like Hong Kong, China beat Madagascar 38-7. There's two teams I didn't even know played rugby. So there you go. Samoa getting a big win over their Pacific rivals.
Over Fiji, yeah, I saw that. Wasn't expecting that.
45-17. And then a good old European derby, Spain beating Holland, 20 points to 0. So, yeah, fair play to Holland on that one. To Spain, sorry, not Holland. You didn't do anything. You got
not fair play to Holland. You were shit.
Brutal, but fair. WXV2, the one where I'm like, yeah, it's probably the more competitive of the bunch. For the most part, obviously WXV1 is like peak and as the top teams battling it out, but
no, like, WXV2 is definitely the most competitive.
Yeah, fair enough. Italy getting a very narrow win over Wales, 8 points to 5. Proper nail biter there. Scotland still undefeated, still eyes on the prize. 19-13 win over Japan. What a game that was. Cam, sorry, but your girls put a hell of an effort though.
The girls have improved so much.
So they have. Me and Devin spoke about this last week. The rise of women's rugby in South Africa is just skyrocketing.
And it's so good to see. And now that we're mixing it up with the likes of the Wallaroos.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. And then the big one, the main event, the one that's just it's probably has the most eyes on it is WXV1. Is where the big fish go to play. France getting a win over the United States, 22-14. It was an alright game. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the prettiest, but France getting the win after getting absolutely blitzed by Canada the week before. So yeah. Speaking of Canada, another big win. They are 2 for 2, 21 points to 8 over Ireland. Who, if you don't remember, got a famous victory last week over the Black Ferns. And then the main event, repeat from the Rugby World Cup final, repeat from a few weeks ago actually. Red Roses, Black Ferns, and the Red Roses triumphant yet again, 49-31.
They really took that World Cup personally.
They have not lost a game since that World Cup final. Unreal.
What's that now? They're almost at 20 games, aren't they?
Something like that. It's so stupid. It's ridiculous. Like even if you look at like the women's like rankings, like the points, nobody's coming near England. England's on like 96 point.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Something like that. And I'm like, who's actually catching that? But anyway, it is what it is. Well done to the Red Roses. That's pretty much it this week. Rugby news, not really any.
Johnny Sexton's being a little crybaby.
Yeah, we spoke about that last week.
Ricky Wani is the people's hero. Did you talk about the Andy Farrell thing with Devon last week?
Andy Farrell thing?
It's just in Johnny. I just thought it was hilarious. Typical Andy Farrell response.
If I was to come back play for club,
yeah, if I were to keep playing for, this is for Johnny Sexton asking to play in the 2025 Lions tour, and he said to Andy Farrell, "If after the World Cup I keep playing for my club, would you consider taking me for the 2025 tour?" Andy Farrell's response: "No,
no,
wouldn't." Absolutely not.
I get Sexton trying to sell a book, but some of the stuff that's coming out, I'm just, what are you talking about?
It's just, I feel it's very unsportsmanlike, and I feel like it's, yes, he's selling a book, and okay, fine. Like, we've argued that rugby needs a bit of this drama, and if anything, it's going to do well for the sport because it brings drama into it. But
he's retired. It's like irrelevant drama.
Yeah, it's like David Beckham slagging off Mbappe. It's like, well, where's the relevance?
Yeah, it's still fun, but yeah, there's no.
But like Finn Russell was the media's star boy.
Yeah.
When has Finn Russell ever been a media star boy? Maybe when he's off drinking in drinking in the pub somewhere.
I was going to say, especially that year, like Finn. Well, Finn didn't play for Scotland the year prior because.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like,
How dare you slag off the Messi of rugby? Then he was praising Marcus Smith, but he wasn't happy that Marcus Smith was in the Lions team ahead of him. So I'm like, well, pick a side. Are you praising him or are you slagging him off?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I had this joke with my mate Harry last night. So he was on about section was on about if Owen Farrell was Irish, he'd be the best Irish player ever. Technically, he is. Technically, because
Yeah.
both Owen's parents, so Andy and his mum, have strong Irish heritage.
Well, you
Technically,
can hear it in the surname, Farrell.
Farrell, yeah.
Imagine Owen Farrell in a green jersey.
I can't imagine that now because of the career he's had, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, technically, Owen Farrell is Irish, so.
He is the best Irish player
Yes,
ever.
yeah, technically, yeah.
Rhino
But yeah,
Driscoll is rolling.
so yeah, cool. Sexton's bringing out a book. I won't read it. I'm not much of a
No, I'm
reader.
not fussed.
I'm not much of a reader anyway, but I can't be bought. Like, I don't care what he said to O'Gara 15 years ago. Like, the picture's
Yeah.
iconic. Yeah,
I'd
again,
rather read the back of a menu.
fair enough. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Scott Robertson's named his touring team for the All
Very
Blacks.
boring, Scott. Very boring. You have not lived up to the expectations so far, sir.
He's played it really safe. He's brought back Cam Roigard back in the mix. That's fantastic.
That's massive.
That's it. And I'm not being harsh on the All Blacks, but if you take 2 minutes to look at the Rugby Championship squad, just look at it and then put Cam Roigard in. That's it.
Okay, this is my take on it. Yes, okay, people will say, okay, he's taken that Rugby Championship squad and he's building on it for consistency.
Yeah.
But what are we building on? 2 wins against Australia and a win against Argentina, 2 losses against your biggest rival, and a loss against Argentina by a record, points conceded in your own country. What are we building on? Surely, in this first year, this is the time that Scott Robinson needs to say, right, I'm testing everything. If I lose every game this year, which he already hasn't, he's won games. He has won more games than he's lost. If he just says, I'm testing everything, and then next year we'll focus on consistency.
I think that would have been fine if he came out and said that, but he's not. He's now sticking to the guns of like, but this did work. Like, but did it work? Because
we all know what Scott Robinson wants. He wants Richie Mo'unga.
Yeah.
He's dying for Richie Mo'unga.
Just speaking of it, because so Leicester Fine Gatanuku is coming back to the Crusaders next year. Great. Just let them play. I don't understand. I have this issue with so many teams. I understand if a lot of your players are doing the job in the country, then fine, pick away. But if you've got players that are carving up out with, just pick them. Who cares?
But yeah, I'm just saying. I remember when South Africa didn't pick overseas players.
That was shit.
Yeah, and now we look at it. Lions tour, 2 World Cups, 2 Rugby Championships.
But that's because you managed to also get the big names back home as well. So
we got some of the big names back home. But if you think of that Springbok squad, the big names, they're all in Japan.
No. Yeah, I know. But wait, I don't get why. Like France is different because no French player really leaves the top 14 if they're playing for France. It doesn't really happen.
That's because the top 14 will pay them so much money.
But I don't feel like England. You don't need to play in the Prem to play for England.
Can you think of any French player that's not in recent times that's not played in a French club?
No.
Sébastien Chabel played.
Yeah, but that was after he finished.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you're still wanting to play for your country, they play in France, but you don't have to. I don't think you have to play.
Also, like, it grows interest in your union. Like, Leicester fans love Andre Pollard, which is going to incentivize them to watch him play international rugby. You know, Bath fans love Finn Russell, which is probably will, make them want to watch Scotland to see how Finn's playing.
Yeah.
Imagine Ardy Sarvea playing for Bristol Bears. Imagine Caleb Clark running down the line for Connacht. Imagine
what is going on here?
Yeah, imagine Geordie Barrett playing for Leinster. No, but you know what I mean. Like, can you imagine a Cody Taylor in a Benetton jersey? I don't know.
Why did he get Benetton?
Because Benetton are the greatest team of all time, Murray.
Not now. They're not.
This is what I'm saying. Like, let your players go play their club rugby. Let them go get an experience of club rugby.
Yeah, doesn't make coin.
Make the monies. And then bring them back with all this experience.
Yeah. It's not hard. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. Everyone else does it, and everyone else is outperforming you. This is what New Zealand have to realise, is that the days of them being so dominant.
Yeah, it's finished.
They were so dominant that they could argue, well, we keep our players in country, that's why we're so dominant. Well, you're not so dominant now, and you're keeping your players in country, and the players that are coming through aren't good enough quality.
Damn. Bro.
Yeah. And that's why you've been overtaken.
It is a good talking point, though, and I'm sure we'll talk about it for many more weeks to come. But as for this episode, that's pretty much it. There's no new interviews yet. I am working on a few things, but again, it's time and place. And
you can interview me if you want, Murray.
I feel like every week's an interview with you, Cam.
Thank you.
Yeah. Round 4 of the Prem next week, so it's Derby weekend. Happy days. URC back in action. The final week of WXV. I'm sure there'll be more rugby. There's more international teams will be getting announced because we are right around the corner from the Autumn Nations series. So it's exciting times. And Cam, welcome back. Welcome to season 5.
Oh yeah, it's my first time in season 5.
First time. To be fair, you only missed one. We only started last week, so there you go.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, Rugby Connection podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. Cam is also on TikTok if you want to give him a follow at Camel Safa. If you like,
I don't post much, but
he's still there. He might comment.
Yeah.
If you like what I do, please give me a follow. I am at Possible Rugby HQ. So close to 10,000 followers, so let's smash it. Let's get it done. And yeah, see you next week. It'll be a lot of fun. More rugby to talk about and more Cam.
Yay.
Right, we'll catch you next week.